10, 9, ignition sequence start. 6.
Hello and welcome to Rocket Fuel, your daily update of everything that's happening in the Rocket Pool community. My name is Vaca Attack. Today is January 19th. Although actually I'm just started recording it right at the end of January 19th, and it'll most likely be published on January 20th. But yeah, we've got a whole packed episode for you. So let's pick up just after the Binance listing announcement went out, and this was on Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. So people in the community at this point started talking about how it might be worth it to sell, to trade it. So Jasper says, I'd sold some. We know that Hodger sold some from the information he was sharing yesterday. Dondo sold some. Vaca sold some. There were a whole bunch of people in the community who made some sells, and they ended up doing really well with it. Like people making like good chunks of RPL gains, like 20-30%, which was really fantastic for them. So congratulations to all of you all who managed to trade that successfully. I was talking about how it would be a really good idea to trade it. I personally didn't trade anything because of my tax situation. The gain that I would have had from the trade would have been more than wiped out from the taxes I would have incurred by doing that trade. So it didn't make sense for me to sell. Now, if the pump was 100% pump, then I definitely would have sold. But because it was 50% and I missed the peak of that 50% pump, it wasn't worth it to sell. So yeah. Okay, so a little bit later, we got a POAP. This POAP was designed Rocket Pool Binance listing pump, and it's got like a little chart with the Rocket Pool colors, which is really cool. And then that, and then we started to get the memes about the pump. So Jasper shared this meme. I don't know if he made it himself or someone else made it. It was likely, I think someone else made it. But it's got a little dolphin with the flipping emoji, and then it says, "Look at me, I'm the captain now." And there's an image of the CoinGecko page for RPL token, and it says rank 57, 25% increase, and then the other side is Lido down 1%, rank 34. So that we're coming for it basically, which is really cool. After that, we saw on the bot that the Coinbase price peaked at $63.99. So that was pretty much like higher than the previous dollar amount, all-time high, but we're not really counting that in the community because we follow the all-time high in ETH terms, not really the dollar terms. Also because it was like on the wick, it's not really like sustainable. So once we're on there, like in a organic manner, then we might start looking at the dollar all-time highs too. So that's really exciting. Okay, and then the POAP that War shared earlier went live. You can still get this POAP. It's still available for you. It costs 0.00069 ETH, which is about $1. And there's 115 of them have been minted, and there's 130 POAPs, so there's 15 left. So if you want this POAP to like commemorate that pump on the Binance listing, you can get it. And on the text description says it was a day to remember the day Rocket Pool joined the Binance crypto family. The trading chat room was lit up like the Las Vegas Strip with hoots and hollers from traders everywhere. The excitement was palpable as people rushed to buy RPL as if it was the last slice of pizza at a college party. Some even claimed to have seen grown men and women crying tears of joy. It was a true testament to the power of RPL, and a day that will go down in crypto history as the day the world lost its collective mind over a token listing. So that obviously was written by ChatGPT. I'm not sure who actually made the POAP. Let's see who was the first to mint it. That might give us an idea. Yeah, I think it was War who made the POAP because there was the ones who were first to mint it. So good job, War. Thank you for putting that together. And yeah, it was nice that so many people in the community were able to mint that POAP. So good stuff. Next, we had this update from, this post from Jasper, who says, I'm going to set up a small raffle. So Jasper set up a small raffle that lasted 6 minutes from the link posting time to actually going live. Let me just cancel that because you don't want to see my MetaMask. So let's let the raffle takes a second to load. So let it load up. So there were 5 prizes of 5 RPL. The POAPs eligible were the Binance listing POAP, the Big 69 POAP, Big POAP 69, the Rocket Pool Benefactor POAP, Rocket Fuel celebrates the holidays and New Year, Rocket Fuel December contributor, and the Kevin Owocki node operator POAP. So a lot of people in the community had these POAPs, which was really cool. So yeah, from the raffle going live to the draw was like 6 minutes, so it was really quick. And we had 33 people join, and number 1 was Wallman.eth. Obviously the developer Rocket Pool. Jasper got a second prize. I don't know if he skipped over himself or not when it came to giving out the prizes. Schifrin, love Schifrin, amazing person, awesome. So proud that Schifrin came third and got 5 RPL. Lambushi got 5, and This Is the Life.eth got 5 as well. So that was really great. Thanks Jasper for putting that together. It was really nice to celebrate Binance Day with this POAP. So with this raffle. So that was really cool. Thank you for that. So I was talking about the Coinbase wick earlier, but we also got a wick on Gate.io, which is another centralized exchange that we've been listed on recently, and that wick took us all the way up to $75. So that would then be the dollar all-time high, but of course, we're not counting that because it was so unnatural. Like it just, I guess either it was fake or someone bought into it, like fat fingered their deal or something. But that then became the all-time high, but it's not really the all-time high. So like Coinbase wick to 64, Gate.io wicks to 75, and let's see what happened to the ratio, if there were any wicks there. So there was this one person who tried to buy $2 million worth of RPL on Coinbase, on Uniswap version 3. And what happened was they got sandwiched, attacked really badly because they set their slippage really high. I think they must have, I don't know, like how high they set their slippage. It must have been huge. But what ended up happening is they bought 40,000 RPL tokens on the market, and the ratio drove up to 0.03886. So that was like the huge candle that took the price all the way up to like $61.53. But of course that wasn't like the real price, because someone checked the ratio right after, and the ratio was 0.0257, and the price was $40. So it was a 50% pump on the price, but it was just a wick. So someone like did a really bad job of managing that trade that they were trying to buy into. I feel bad for them. So that, again, like that's not counted as an official all-time high because it was just a wick. There weren't actually any legitimate trades happening at that price. Like they were at 0.02965, which is like what the community has decided on was the all-time high. So let's have a look at that wick on Uniswap. So here, we saw when the listing went live, there was like a big rise on like kind of like in the middle of the picture, and then it kind of stabilized at 0.025, and then that wick you can see was absolutely gargantuan. That wick was 100% up from where the price was a few hours earlier. So before the Binance listing was announced, like there was big stuff happening there. So yeah, that person definitely didn't do a good job. I feel bad for them. Okay, and then we got trading going live, and Binance listed the start of trading at $25 or $26, and it instantly pumped up to like 35, and like I think it went as high as $40 or something like that, and then it started to bleed out. Like it went up to $43 from $25.66, and then it slowly started to bleed out, and it went all the way down to $29 at one point today. But right now, just as the time of making this video, it was back up at around $34 or $35. So it's responded really well since then. But like the trading started on Binance, and then we didn't get a second pump, which there was a small chance that might have happened, but it never came. So that's okay. Yeah, and then it says Smooch here had a post saying number of wallets holding RPL up 15%. So it turns out I think around 800 new people or 800 new wallets started holding RPL because of this Binance listing, which is absolutely amazing. So I'm really happy that RPL's gotten into so many more hands. It's really interesting to see that the new RPL token version number 2 has only 6,000 holders. Like, it's truly remarkable to see that there's such a small amount when you consider like 2,000 of those are in nodes, and then probably another 1,000, maybe up to maybe even like 1,800 are the withdrawal wallets for node operators. You can see that there's very few people actually speculating on the RPL token. Like the majority of the growth so far has been organic growth, which is absolutely amazing to see, and it bodes well definitely for any future bull runs as more people start buying for speculation. So Hodger had this comment a little bit later about kind of talking about the pump and the dump. So Dondo said, I'm looking to buy back in. I'm currently up 70 RPL, which at the time was like $3,000 or something like that, which is really great, or $2,500. So Hodger says, no problems, Dondo. The Binance listing pump and dump pattern is fairly reliable, and this win rate has been like 100%. This would be the third time I've shorted this kind of exact event. Haha. I bought back my entire liquid RPL stack and more at $35. A nice bonus gain in RPL. Sold, went to yoga, had a burrito, came back and bought back in ROFL. Good day. So Hodger did really well with that, and a lot of people who followed Hodger in that trade did really well as well. So that was fantastic. Really great to see. Yeah. So right, like as we were talking yesterday, right before the announcement, there was a couple of big buys went in for about $400,000, and then about 10 minutes after the listing or 5 minutes after the listing, the whole amount sold. So people started to pay attention to that and noticed it. And it says the anonymous wallet address, and then there's the address, bought 6,200 RPL 10 minutes before the Binance listing released the RPL listing announcement, and sold them all 10 minutes after the announcement, making a profit of $55,400. The USDT and ETH used were all from OKX. So it seems like someone got a tip off for the listing and front ran that basically. Well, kind of. What's funny is if they had waited for another like 20, 30 or 40 minutes, they could have timed it a lot better and done even better than that. They could have ended up with around 100,000, if not more, in terms of gains. But hey, I don't think they're complaining for 20 minutes of work. So that kind of insider trading is like really horrible to see, but like it's the kind of thing that happens in anywhere where there's information asymmetry. It's just on the blockchain, it's clear for everyone to see it happening. So yeah, and then what happened during the day was Binance actually suspended their withdrawals. So it's caused some like artificial inconsistencies between Binance's price and the price that you could get on other dexes or even on Uniswap, because it says withdrawals are temporarily halted while Binance replenishes the hot wallet. Withdrawals for this asset will be resumed shortly. See network recovery notification reminder. So a whole lot of people bought Binance. Like if you look at the volume, I think the volume was like nearly $10 million worth of RPL in the first like 24 hours. Maybe even more than that, I think, which is a huge amount. There's a lot of suspicion that that amount is actually a lot of wash trading, but it's really cool that that it seems like there's market making taking place on Binance. So you're seeing trades happening a lot more frequently than you'd see on something like Coinbase or Kraken, because their volumes are really, really, really low comparatively. And I don't think it's all organic. Definitely not. I think there must be some market making taking place there. Okay, so someone said, did anyone identify a Binance RPL wallet, and anyone who deposited or withdrew the RPL? And Warthal Patricio says, I deposited, and basically what they did was they were able to find out where the RPL went, and what else says here's where it ended, and there was a link. So now that link, you can follow that to see what's happening with that link. And that link, if you look at Rocket Scan, you can see that it's one of the top tokens that are holding the RPL token. I think they're in the top 10 already. So there's some links that were there. So it was really interesting to see that what the Coinbase address was for holding RPL. Okay, so that's done with all the Coinbase stuff. Now let's have a look at some of the stuff. So we got this this tweet from Seraphim saying, should Rocket Pool rETH be collateral on Euler Finance? So if you have a look at Seraphim, who is this person? This person is head of taking risk at Euler Labs, and they're obviously borrowing lending, decentralized borrowing lending place. So what you can do is deposit your rETH and get a loan in return for it. I'm not sure of the full dynamics of how it works at Euler Labs, but if you have a look at the vote, the community was like very strongly in favor of this. 91% of 533 votes said yes, and 9% said no. I think that they listed CBETH recently, so it makes sense for them to integrate rETH, especially around this whole LSD narrative that's going on. So they might be able to capture some of that. So it's really interesting that that's happening. Also, according to this post, Hippocrates, they've said some cool things in the episode today, so sorry for not mentioning their name before. But if you look at this Euler Finance pool that's right here, it's an RPL pool, and you can borrow and deposit and borrow RPL, and you can, I'm not sure exactly what you deposit. You deposit the RPL and get, I'm not sure if it's ETH out or stablecoin, but let me see. Yeah, I'm not sure. But apparently what happened was that pool, someone just borrowed most of the available RPL in Euler, so utilization is high. Supply APR is 28.28 now. And then there's a link. So yeah, that was really interesting that people are playing those games with the tokens. Okay, next we had this thing from Patches, and it says, I'm just going to leave this here. So when you click on the link, this was right in the middle of all the Binance stuff that was happening, so I think not everyone saw it, but it was a link to an Etherscan address with a contract, and it had from caramilla.eth. Now, for those of you who know, that is an address that populated the contracts for the whale marriage between Marco Barco and Patricio, where Marco provided the ETH, Patricio provided the RPL, and they set up a whale marriage for Marco to run the nodes and Patricio to provide the RPL as collateral. So it looks like there's a new whale marriage happening, and then a little while later we got this post from Marceau, who said this week, and if you click on the link, then it says, got another whale marriage in the works, by the way, not Patricio big, but pretty big. So that was really cool. So that was from January 1st, where Marceau was kind of teasing that. And I guess now on January 18th, this is from January 18th, that whale marriage is now, that's in the works. So I think the first deposit started happening to those contracts today. I'll talk about that on tomorrow's episode, because I'll come up to trading at that point. So yeah, it's really exciting. Fornax said this. He says, give me a second. Oh, yeah, okay. Fornax said this is yesterday. I thought I was going to embarrass myself trying to provide support after Patches tried, but it worked. Thanks Patches and all the rocket scientists for leading the way and creating such a welcoming environment and support. It's been an amazing experience. Believe in yourself. So Fornax was providing support and was able to help someone, which is really cool. This was going to be linked to me leading into the, actually maybe I can show it to you here. So what I did was today I released a new episode of Launchpad, which was with Patches. It says today's Launchpad features the man, the myth, legend Patches. As I'm sure all of you know, Patches is an extremely important member of the Rocket Pool community. Patches' work and support has made it so nearly every single one of us has interacted with him at some point. Now you can hear his story, and then there's a link to my Twitter, and then that goes to YouTube. It was a really cool episode to film, and it was a great conversation that I had with Patches. He shared a bunch of his stories of support, and the first one he started was with my almost slashing. So that was a nice long time ago. It was in the beginning of April of 2022, and yeah, we talked about some of the stories from support as well, and it was really, really great chat. Patches told his story about how he got into Bitcoin mining in 2010, and now also what he's working on, so the rescue node and stuff like that. So it was a wonderful chat. Go and watch it. But the reason why I kind of wanted to segue this was because sorry, I missed the link. Fornax now is kind of stepping up as well, and doing really good stuff in support. So I kind of wanted to use that as an excuse to put the two things together, and really champion Fornax for doing the great stuff in support that he's doing. So keep it up, Fornax. And thank you, Patches, for everything as well. Okay, so next is really interesting, because while the Coinbase listing stuff happened, a lot of people from trading who were around at the time jumped into the chit chat channel and started chatting. And something really interesting was said during that, right? And kind of covered it on Rocket Fuel yesterday as well. Is the team never paid a single dollar for any centralized listing that's happened. And they always had a plan from the very beginning that they were never going to pay for that. So what's happened over the years is a bunch of exchanges came to the team and was oh, we'd love to list you, and let's do this. It'd be really great to have Rocket Pool's RPL on our exchange, blah blah blah, all this kind of stuff. And then as the conversation progressed, they'd always be oh, and this is how much we charge for the listing. And then at that point the team was yeah, we're not paying, basically, right? So what's happened recently is, the merge was successful. There was a huge LSD hype. Then there was a Kraken listing. Then there's a Coinbase listing. And then as we're in another hype cycle now for LSDs, Binance of their own volition basically listed the RPL token. And with the RPL listing, so many other exchanges have started listing RPL too. So here we have Huobi, who have listed RPL, and there's a spot chart trade right here. As you can see that it's trading at $34.58. Just a little while ago it peaked at $36.40. Okay, next we have a list, and at this point Hani Abu updated a list of exchanges. So there's Binance, Coinbase, Gate.io, Huobi, Kraken, and Mexi. But then as time went on, we got more listings. So here we got a listing from SwiftFX, SwiftX, I don't know, or SwyFTX. So they listed RPL, and then we had a listing from Crypto.com, which is of course a very big international exchange. So that was great. And here we had a listing from KuCoin. So they were all announcing listing the RPL token, and then we also had an announcement from Bybit as well. So there were a whole lot of exchanges that were listing RPL of their own volition. It's really interesting because I'm sure the team obviously a true professional to mention that which exchanges came to them and asked for money for listings. But I wouldn't be surprised if some of these were the same exchanges that were asking for money before, but now are listing for free. So it's been a deluge of centralized exchanges these last few weeks, even up to the Kraken listing. And this Binance one definitely was the big one, because it's by far and away the biggest exchange in the world. And yeah, it's really cool to see the aftermath of that listing. As much as the price action has kind of hurt people, I think it's been a ride. Okay, so yesterday was rewards night, and that means, people were paid their inflation for their staking rewards, and part of that happens is, the ODAO runs the Merkle trees, gathering up all the rewards for the month, and it's become kind of a game for the last few months where Superphase sets up a tournament, and people can encrypt their guesses and put it in there, and then the person who gets the most number right wins 5 RPL. So here Dr. Doofus wrote out their list, but they wrote it out without encrypting it, so it's kind of funny. So there were 15 ODAO members, and you basically have to predict the 8 that it takes to get the tree generated. So Fizz says there's a thread to post your guesses for tonight. You'll create a prediction of the order, run a MD5 sum on that, and paste it in that thread. Let me see if I can find that thread. That thread is, predict the order of the ODAO node submissions. So let's jump to present, and a whole lot of people Fizz came first, and then others followed. Anthony Sassano failed on his generation because he had some issue, otherwise he would have come second. And Hodger did really well, but I'm going to talk about who won that tomorrow. But it's really cool that Fizz does this every month now, and it's really exciting for the community to play along. There's some members of the community who think it's more exciting than the actual rewards they get, so that's cool. Okay, another interesting thing happened right as the Binance listing went live. Rocket Luke tagged me and he says rocketpool.net got denial of service attacked by people visiting it. So at that point, Rocket Luke didn't know if it was he just thought it was organic visiting that just kind of gave it a hug of death. So none of the docs were working, the website wasn't working, it was all kind of closed down. So then the Maverick made a post on the protocol channel saying, hey everyone, it looks like our website has become very popular today after multiple exchange listings for RPL. We're working on getting back online and appreciate your patience. Our rETH can still be transacted via both DEX liquidity and the deposit pool queue on aggregators such as 1inch, and it looks like we're coming back online now. So Rocket Pool, so that was cool. And then the website was still down, but Maverick was saying yes and no, it's kind of getting back on its feet. So it was down for quite a few hours. And then Kane said the Binance listing yesterday made us really popular in Indonesia, China, Russia, and India. So if you have a look at the traffic, there's literally thousands upon thousands of visitors. 66,000 from Indonesia, 36,000 from China, 33,000 from Russia, and 15,000 from India. And then Kane goes on to say it was an attack, a denial of service attack, DDoS attack. So they crippled the servers that was set up to handle a few hundred requests an hour, not 180 million requests. So it was really bad. So you can see that the attack started just after 8 a.m. I guess that's local time maybe. I'm not sure what time that is. And then finished at 10 a.m. or it might be in UTC. So it looks like that's UTC. So there were literally thousands of requests happening at the same time. Kane says a keen eye might spot where it started. So I guess normally the Rocket Pool website gets dozens maybe of visits an hour, but here it's getting literally hundreds of thousands of visits an hour. So it was definitely different, or millions of visits an hour. I think the numbers maybe here, the number in the thing might be measured in, I'm not sure if it's measured in a different metric. It might be 66 million, 36 million, 36 million, 33 million, and 15 million. That's what it was. So 180 million from there. So that wasn't a hug of death. It was just attempted murder. Okay. So next, moving on to this interesting discussion. So Phil Cares made a comment about the Woz POAP, for the Binance listing and how there was a charge for it. And he said, I'm still heavily against paying for POAPs. So the reason why I'm including this is because, Patricio, who is the founder of POAP, kind of responded to that, and he said, do you care to explain? So it really brought up an interesting discussion right in the middle of all this Binance hoopla. So it might be a bit difficult for me to find the messages, but basically Denham then replied by saying, seriously not paying for POAPs. And Patricio said, POAPs cost money. How do you expect to get them for free? So I think that was an interesting response. And he said, Rudy said, or maybe on layer 2. And Patricio says this continue to cost money. And let me see where that conversation goes. Basically, it led to a really interesting conversation about how much it actually costs to, what the costs are of POAP, right? So you might think, you put in the code and you get a POAP, and that's it. It's free, right? But what happens is there was an artist who made that POAP, and then there's the platform on which that POAP is hosted, and the administration of it is done, and then there's the fees of getting on the blockchain and all that kind of stuff. So all of those things are actual costs of a POAP, and Patricio Dondo here says, I don't mind paying for POAPs, but I'm becoming aware that $5 to $10 POAPs multiple times a week is a bit of a hard sell. And Phil Kerr says, I'm sure it's a great thing to donate money to the GMC, but that still, let me just see, I missed it. That still doesn't mean to make it okay to pay for POAPs. So then Patricio responded by saying, this is puzzling. A POAP is a digital asset that costs money to be produced. So I think what ended up happening was basically people had gotten used to POAPs being free, right? And they never really thought about where they come from. Dondo said, doesn't want to pay $5 to $10, and Patricia says, you don't need to buy any of them. And then this is the key piece of information that came out, is POAP Inc. has running costs of $500,000 a month. So, Patricia's been funding that out of his own pocket, and I think he is either the only donor or the biggest donor. I'm not sure on those numbers, but he's definitely heavily involved in that payment. So he's paying that out of his pocket, right? And, there are a lot of ways to mint POAPs for free. It's just POAPs costing money is a new revenue stream for POAP, because Patricio shared that they charge 5% of the fees, but also it is a way of making it easier to distribute POAPs as well. So Patricio here says they got them for free, but they were never free to create. I paid for them. So and then Phil Kerr says, yes, it's a community-driven thing. The community designs it, creates it, and spreads it. We want to cheer on certain events and have a POAP to remember the nice times. Paying for what you put all the work in seems wrong. B, you have to have a hot wallet. You have to connect to it. It's not only problematic from a security point, but it's also not everyone has a hot wallet or a hot wallet in the moment the POAP is created. Since they usually are gone within a few hours, many miss the chance and are sad, like me. And then Patricia responded by saying, A, the POAP costs money. Someone has to pay for it. Being community thing that you use for cheer up events doesn't make it cost less. And B, that's a you problem. And then Dundo saying, yeah, but $5 is pretty steep for, say, a college kid in a low GDP country who loves rocket pool. Anyway, this conversation was a really, really interesting conversation. I think it really opened up a few people's eyes to what is happening behind the scenes at POAP, right? Because a lot of people just had this idea that, this is a nice front end, and then a couple of people sat around approving the POAPs as they come in, and then that's it. It's all done. It's all on the blockchain. But obviously, there's a lot more that goes into it than just that. And that's, without even counting artist costs. Like for me personally, I haven't paid for any POAPs to be commissioned for Rocket Fuel, because Schifrin and Sleety have, and also Iceland Calling have been kind enough to produce POAPs for me free of charge, and then I've distributed those free of charge as well. I've never charged a single cent for any POAP that I've distributed myself. I have been the recipient of some money from a POAP when Fizz set up the chirping POAP for the smoke alarm battery, but I had nothing to do with that. That was set up and distributed outside of my my knowledge even at a point. So yeah, anyway, what I'm trying to say is, just because those people provided art for free, and just because I distributed it for free, doesn't mean that it was free, because there's always a cost somewhere. So either you're paying for the artist, or you're paying for the hosting on the POAP backend. So there's all this stuff, and it was definitely a really interesting conversation. It's just it was happening at a time where trading was kind of was really, really, really busy. So I think a lot of the points got lost in the way that if the same conversation was happening at a different time, it would have been a lot more engaging, a lot more nuanced. But it was definitely a really good conversation. So go back and have a look at it. So Patricio says someone has to pay. It could be the issuer, the collector, a sponsor, or a combination of two or all three. So yeah, someone's paying. Like, it makes sense to have an option where it can be monetized. Meek later had a point about transferring the POAP from Gnosis chain to mainnet costing 0.1 ETH. And then Patricio said that's a legitimate criticism and it's something that we're looking at. So there was definitely like a lot of really interesting stuff that was happening around that discussion. Go back and read it if you are at all interested. Oh yeah, and then Dr. Doofus had this interesting point. He went back to that discussion later and he says, personally, I think there's room for both paid and free POAPs. Mine will always be free. I agree with people that $5 POAP seems not much to a lot of people here and too much to a lot. It does leave people out based on money, which I don't like. It feels like one of those things that for most large handouts should be absorbed invisibly by a distributor. Like for a conference, you don't track on an optional POAP fee for attendance. It's just included in the cost or eaten by the organization, whereas I met Warthalter POAP could certainly be a $5 buy type. However, I put free in quotes above because the part that is a fee for POAP to function is very understandable. I think Warthalter said it was currently 5% of the buy fee. In a case like that, what I would like to see is a subscription service, so that some place like Rocket Pool's GMC or the dev team could pay some amount to POAP for up to N POAPs per month. So that's an interesting idea by Dr. Doofus. And then I think Patricio later responded positively to that, but I'm not sure where that comment is, so sorry about that. Okay, moving on. Something really interesting happened where Hudson Jameson popped into the Rocket Pool Discord a few days ago and was like, hey, and he got orange pilled by Kane and Superfizz. I think it was mostly Kane, but I'm not exactly sure. Anyway, for those of you who don't know, Hudson Jameson is like an OG Ethereum. He was the host of the All Core Devs calls for a long time. He worked on Flashbots. He worked on a whole bunch of different things like EIPs and stuff that was happening. Anyway, recently he got back into understanding what Rocket Pool was and was setting up his own node. So here we had some promotional material going out for a live stream. So he says, tomorrow I'm running a fun live stream where I set up a Rocket Pool node at home and spin up money pools like validators, learn how Rocket Pool works and see what it's like to run a node at home. So then, there's a thing, and the hosts were Fizz, Kane, Anthony Sassano, and Jasper. So what ended up happening was, we're going to talk about that on tomorrow's episode. So yeah. I give shout out to Vaca during the Binance stuff. I said the bot is doing amazing work tonight. Congrats, Vaca. So basically over the 6, 7, 8 hours around after the Binance listing, there were literally hundreds, if not many thousands of bot pings that were taking place. And it ran really smoothly and they did a really good job. So I think it was nice to give Vaca a shout out for his bot keeping on top of all that and getting all the information in the community, because we were literally living by every bot flash that was coming through. And there were each one was literally 4 or 5 in one. So there were sandwich buys and sells. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And I think there was $50 million of volume or something. So there were literally thousands of these notifications that are coming up, and everything worked really well. And it was a huge service to the community. So congrats on that, Vaca. I'm really happy that your bot worked so well. Okay, so one thing that happened was Knoshua was talking about the team and like how things have gone well over the years and the things that they've done right. And Dave was kind of teasing him. He's saying, new phone, Knoshua said, I disagree with them on a few individual issues. It doesn't mean I think they're doing a bad job, like basically saying that they're doing a good job. And Dave was saying, new phone, who this, kind of just like joking. And Knoshua said, never change. So then Dave made a screenshot of Knoshua saying, seriously, fuck the team, which has kind of become a meme, right? Like in the community, like fuck the team. It's just like things people say. So what ended up happening was Knoshua kind of said, I still believe the PDAO members should focus on making the best decisions possible instead of censoring themselves in order to appease the team. And then Meek says, hey, someone hacked Noshua's account, and Dave says, nah, he's always been like that. So then the popcorn came out and Chaos saying Dave and Knoshua were those two kids in elementary school who'd always flirt by kicking each other under the table. So Miz saying, so you're saying fuck the team was the best decision possible for the PDAO? And then he says no response from Knoshua means it must be true. So then Knoshua came back and actually did have a response. He says here's the context. So then there's the context of which that came about. I'm not going to click that link because I lose this place. He says, I'm saying that if you believe that we should do X and the team wants you to do Y, but you disagree with Y, then you should make the case and push for X and not blindly accept Y. So this, I gave this like a point up and 100% too, because I actually really like this stance that Knoshua has taken. He says, in other words, I'm arguing against an appeal to authority in our governance process, and I totally agree with that sentiment that he's sharing here. I think this is the first time he's actually explained that, the fuck the team comment like in more detail. But what's ended up happening is, since that time, there have been a couple of instances. Well, one instance that I can think of around the max collateral vote, where the team was talking about what the options on the vote should be, and I very politely kind of argued against the team's decision or the team's position of saying, we should have this, like we don't want to have this particular option on the vote, and I turned around and said, this is my very British and very polite way of saying, like, fuck the team. Like, this is a decision that the PDAO needs to make, and we should. There's a legitimate reason for that being on the vote, and I definitely was channeling my inner Knoshua at that point, just in a very very different way. But the sentiment is exactly the same, and the sentiment that Knoshua shared here is something that I strongly agree with. Like, we as the PDAO, which is all of us, right? Which is all of us in the community, all of us staking with Rocket Pool. We need to understand that, the team has a position of respect. The team has a position of authority even. However, when it comes to governance, the community's voice carries just as much weight as the team's voice does. And we're all working in this together. And I absolutely agree with this thing, right? Like, if you believe in X, but the team believes in Y, you should make a case and push for X and not just blindly accept Y. So I'm really happy that Knoshua shared that context. I think, when he puts it like that, a lot of people agree with it and kind of understand where he's coming from. And I'm glad that he did that. Okay. Dave says, going to sign off for the night, guys. Don't stop in here as much as I'd like to, but the vibe is exactly what Rocket Pool is all about at the moment. Very wholesome. So this was in response to a discussion in the community that happened about what kind of vibe we send out as a community, right? And how we present that. There was a member of the community who was talking about how vibes don't matter, and they were presenting their position. I'm not going to go back and read that because I don't really want to focus on that. But what I do want to focus on is just how great people in the community have been in the last few days. Everyone's happy. Prices are up. ETH, RPL is doing really well against ETH. RPL is doing well in the US dollar sense. We're not near all-time highs in US dollar, but we're definitely doing well. So people are happy, right? And people are supportive of each other. They're encouraging each other, and it's definitely a really, really cool vibe in the community right now. it's overwhelming. There's a lot happening, like an incredible amount happening, but it's a really cool place to be. So it's nice that Dave is kind of like recognizing that and recognizing how important that vibe is for it to persist, and how how that is the default vibe basically of the community as a whole. And it's very wholesome. It's absolutely lovely. And like, if it wasn't for the vibe of the community, I wouldn't be making Rocket Fuel the way I am. Like, it's so important to me. So that was really cool, and it's really great that he popped in there to say that. And definitely, like, a whole bunch of people in the community definitely like echo that sentiment, and that's why we're here too. Okay, finally ending on something interesting is Kane, before the Binance listing, they were sharing some t-shirts that they're going to get Meek to wear with a lot of orange. And there was this t-shirt that was basically a print out of the stake.rocketpool.net page. And Meek was like, I'm definitely going to be wearing that. So I'm really excited about seeing Meek in Denver. I think Meek's a really cool person. We haven't really talked that much, but I really like Meek. And let me see if it will take you to the original. That was a really interesting conversation. Oh yeah, okay. So Dave was saying, I feel like my orange t-shirt post, which was very real, is being overshadowed. Meek, can you please represent how awesome an orange shirt is? So yeah, the orange shirt is lost now in the depths of the Binance announcement, but it was a very, very orange shirt, which was really cool. Let me see if I can scroll back. No, in all that scrolling, I've only gone back 6 minutes. There's no way I'm going back to that. But anyway, it's really cool that people are getting ready for Denver. It's happening really soon. It's like in 6 weeks' time. Like, it's going to be so cool. I'm so excited about going. Anyway, this episode has gone on really, really, really long. Yeah, hopefully tomorrow I'll be caught up, and then this won't happen anymore until the next crazy thing happens. I really need an assistant. So if anyone wants to become my assistant, I can't pay you anything because I'm not getting paid anything. But if you want to help me, I'll be willing to listen to all offers. Thank you so much, everyone, for supporting Rocket Fuel. Thank you for being part of like this little Rocket Fuel community that we've kind of set up. That's finding its own little niche in our thread, and I'm really happy that you're all kind of like along for the ride with me, and I'll be here. I'll stay here and get these episodes out for you, and I'm sure things are going to go back to normal like very soon, for better or worse. But until then, here's hoping we celebrate a few more all-time highs and a few more like big landmark moments. I think Aave listing us, getting a Chainlink Oracle happening, Atlas going live, or like on testnet, that's going to be big. Atlas going live on mainnet, ETH Denver, withdrawals on the Ethereum main chain, getting SAS later, LEB8s of course, SAS after that, LEB4s, maybe LEB2s towards the end of the year. LEB4s though, I think like Lang has been talking about that a little bit more recently, like with a tone that presents that is a little bit more certain about it happening. But I don't want to read too much into that. But it's a really, really exciting time for Rocket Pool, and I'm really enjoying being here with all of you and sharing all of these moments with you all. So I'm going to keep doing this as long as you guys keep watching and keep encouraging me and keep supporting me and all of us together. So thank you, everyone. I hope you all watch this. I don't know when you're going to watch this, but yeah, I think this is the latest I've ever stayed up to record an episode. But I should be recording another one in about 12 hours time. That's going to cover all of Thursday and into Friday morning. So I hope you all have a lovely day and night, or just day or night, probably most likely, unless you're like in Japan, maybe then it's afternoon, or Australia. Yes, afternoon, Australia, New Zealand, and Japan, I guess. But yeah, I hope you're all having a lovely day, and I will see you all in about 12 hours time. Bye.